Hi drummers, hope you're well. Right, little one for beginners here, building up a shuffle groove. So many drummers starting out, a shuffle is one of those things that they really want to play. They're excited to play the groove, and this is a video about building it up, right? So in my experience, having worked with quite a lot of, thousands of drummers basically over the years, building this up, this is the sort of method that's been the most useful for sort of getting it off the ground if you're just starting off. We should say, by the way, a shuffle groove goes like this. So it's got that jump, one potato, two potato kind of feel, man. The shuffle, absolute classic. Now, when I was a kid, I had a book, and I remember reading in that, a drum book. I forget who it was by now, but it definitely said in there, the playing a consistent shuffle feel is the true test of the working drummer. And I can see why they were saying it. Big thing to say right at the start of this takes some time, man, for the feel to really sit. So many musicians, I think, who work with drummers, and lots of guitarists I know have said this, like typically like maybe a younger drummer goes along and plays with them, or they've played at a jam night with a younger drummer, or even just a drummer who hasn't been playing that long. And they consistently say, that the straight feel was pretty good, like when it was straight eighths or sixteenths or triplet feel, whatever, the groove was pretty solid. But then sometimes they'll say when it was the shuffle, the feel just wasn't quite there. So the big thing to say about this is, take your time. This takes time to build up and to get it to sit. We don't bring to this any expectation that we'll get this firing along to, say, Sweet Home Chicago or Don't Stop Fleetwood Mac or whatever in any particular time frame, certainly not in a few days or weeks. Like, this takes time to build up and to really sit. Like I said, it was the opinion of that book all that time ago when I was a kid that this is the true test of the gigging drummer, man, the working drummer, getting this groove to sit. So take your time with it. Now, this method is the most useful, I would say, for building it up, in my experience, when you're starting out. Firstly, it's about getting the hi-hat feel going, or the ride cymbal. We'll play it on the hi-hat here. We're playing here swung or shuffled eighth notes. What are eighth notes? They're the notes that go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But in the case of a shuffle, what you're doing is you're playing the and a bit later. So the and is actually nearer to the next number, the next beat, if you like, than it was to the one before. We've got this feel of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's the shuffle. Now, people often get mixed up with this and a swing or jazz type of beat, which is dog walk the dog, as in 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3. Obviously, they're very similar to the casual ear. They're not the same thing, though. So typically in jazz, you play 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1. Here we're talking about a true shuffle like you would play in a blues or pop setting, where you play, and you might play in jazz, but less common, where you'd play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you hearing that? I'm playing every single and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's what I'm referring to here when I say shuffle. So just to be super clear, not generally shuffly music, but literally a shuffle. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. We're going to play that on our hi-hat or our ride, and that's a good place to start, I think. Before we worry about the coordination or anything like that, let's just establish that feel and just make friends with that a little bit and get it flowing. So we'll play it on the hi-hat, and we'll just go around on this a little bit. Now, when it starts, it's a bit weird because when you think about it, the first note is on its own. So you've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And after that initial note that's on its own, it's always like effectively two little notes together, isn't it? So what I often say to people is start this just when you're first getting it going on the and of beat 4, and that way it'll always just be two notes. So we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You getting that? So that's a good way to start it on the and of beat 4. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to play on that, right? And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I think a really good thing to do is to give it a little push, play a little harder on the beat, that is on the number, and a little lighter on the and. So you've got and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Some drummers like to think of it as like a molar technique, like a whip kind of motion. great. Wouldn't lose too much sleep about that. At first, if you're a beginner, just play the thing, man. A little stronger on the beat. And remember that as well, a great way to think of this is another way to think of this, in fact, is a triplet feel, which you might have done already. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, where you're missing out the middle note, right? The trip. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. For me, while I think that's a good description of it and a good sort of image to have in our head, while actually playing it, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, I think is probably the most instinctive count to do. And it's probably a good idea to count, I would say, at first, because you can know where the beat is, and you, especially when you're a beginner, in my experience working with lots of beginners, you get a clear sense of where the beat in the music actually is, like where the downbeat is, where the quarter note beat is. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, which is kind of important. Otherwise, you see drummers sometimes going and 1 and 2 and 3, like beginners, and just getting a bit off course. So a clear sense of where the beat is, the quarter note or crotchet beat is a good idea. So here we go. Just the hi-hat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we're just going to sit on this, man. You've got to spend some time like showing your hand and your brain, your nervous system, this, and you've got to get to a certain level of comfort with this, man, before you start throwing in other stuff. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So just play along with me here. And 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now you might well find that instinctively, if you've played like the straight eights feel quite a bit, if you've played that sort of groove, your hand will start to default back to that. That's fine. That's normal. You're not struggling. You're not doing it wrong. You're just learning a new way. This is what will happen. This just means you've got a normal human brain. Your brain will resist the new thing that you're showing it at first. If you persevere through that, you will develop a lovely new way of doing it. With a bit of perseverance, a new habit will form and you'll be in business. But you just got to keep going, push through that a little bit. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So one last time, let's play just on the hi-hat. 1 and 2. Well, remember we're coming in on the and of beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1. Good. Now that's the first step. You've got to establish that feel a little bit. Cha, 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 cha. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Please keep in your head a clear idea of which ones are the numbers and which ones are the ands. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So once we've established that, we can then add in the bass drum and the snare drum. The bass and the snare are just going to play bass drum on beat 1, snare drum on beat 2, bass drum on beat 3, and snare drum on beat 4. So using our starting on the and of beat 4 all the way, the sequence is going to be a hi-hat hit on its own, followed by a hi-hat with a bass drum, and then a hi-hat hit on its own, followed by a hi-hat with a snare drum. That's going to alternate without any changes forever. Hi-hat, hi-hat, bass. Hi-hat, hi-hat and snare. Hi-hat, hi-hat and bass. Hi-hat, hi-hat and snare. Like this. 1 and 2 and 3. I'm going to go deathly slow. And 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. You get it? So it's always hi-hat and kick. Hi-hat hi-hat, snare. So you might even take those little moments and just work with those, right? The individual little moments are and. So a lot of beginners will often say back to me, so the hi-hat on its own always plays first. Yes, it's on the and, but if you're thinking of them as a little unit of 2 notes, the hi-hat on its own always plays first. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2. You got it? And 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and then with some repetitions, we're in business. Let's practice coming in a few times. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And again, a bit faster. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 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 1. Again, a bit faster. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 3, and 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. And one time a bit quicker. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, I can't stress enough that these going through those speeds will take some time to build up if you truly are a beginner. People will say to me over and over and over and over and over again, oh, I'm struggling with this. You're not struggling with it. You've just started. Like, give this thing the time and effort and attention and respect that it warrants in order to get to a point where you can play it smoothly. Take your time, build it up. And 1, and 2, and kick, and snare, and 1, and 2. You're not struggling. You've just started. And 4, and 1, and 2. Big difference. If you've been playing it for 5 years and you still haven't got it, yeah, then you're struggling, right? But if you just started, you're not struggling. You're just at the beginning. Have that, best bit of advice, I think, in my opinion, is have the humility to say, I'm at the beginning with something here. I understand that it isn't going to work straight away. And just go slow. Give your brain a chance to actually take the information in. 99% of people, maybe not 99, but a pretty high percentage of people just don't do that. They just don't slow down enough to actually present their brain with the information. They just go too fast. Just go slow. You have to let your brain see the combinations first. It will learn it for you, but you have to show it the information first. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. You got it? And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, so a little bit of consistent practice on that. Before you know it, you'll have that fluency. I would say the 10th time, the 15th time, the 20th time, whatever, you sit down to it, you'll be and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. And then you're in range that you can start to play along with some songs. Obviously, as you get faster, it gets tricky, and it doesn't get tricky, it just takes longer to develop the physical skills involved in playing. This is where a practice plan that has head, heart, and hands on it, those 3 sections will be super useful, because in the hands part, we're building our physical skill, our ability to play basically a line of notes with one stick. That's certainly one of the things we'll be doing. So when you're on the hi-hat 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, you'll be able to do that. You'll have the techniques involved in doing that. I would say as you get faster, It's a combination of two techniques, which are the main two sort of physical techniques involved in drum kit drumming, in my opinion, which are a molar technique style whip and some finger control, some fingers helping out at the back. You need to be practicing both of those things because they both come into play, in my opinion, most of the time as we get faster, as we get into 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 both of those things come into play. So there's no mystery to this. People say, oh, I'm struggling to go fast. Any tips? Yes. My one tip for all time is have a practice plan that has hands, head and a heart on it. So we're learning a groove like this. We're sort of basically talking heart at first. Not just playing a basic groove, enjoying it, putting it together. But you need some hands in there, man. You need some physical skill as well. So you need to be consistently, regularly practicing hand speed exercises, rudiments and things of that nature to get your hands working as you start to pick up speed with this. The limiting factor, so to speak, will be your right stick if you're right-handed on the hi-hat or ride. That will be the kind of limiting factor. Once you got the coordination and the idea of the groove going, the limiting factor is how fast you can play with your right stick. So cool. I hope that's helpful. That'll get you going, building that up. Let me know how you get on. Thanks for watching as always. Really appreciate it. Please like, share and subscribe. And if you do subscribe and you want to get a notification every time I upload a video, which is almost every day, please click the little bell icon next to the word subscribe. And thanks as always to all the amazing people who've supported this channel via my Buy Me a Coffee support page. You can either buy me a coffee, which I hugely appreciate as a one-off show of support for this channel. If you found it useful or helpful or enjoyable in any shape or form, please consider supporting in that way if you're in a position to. And the other way is to become a channel member. As a channel member, you're seriously supporting this channel and helping it grow. In return, you get a load of cool features, including a head, heart and hands practice plan, which I'll write out for you, personalized practice plan based on where you're at and what you want to achieve. A load of other stuff as well, members videos, priority requests for future videos, a ton of other features as well, a complimentary Zoom session where or even face-to-face if you want to come to Cambridgeshire, which we can do again now. And we can go over the plan for you, formulate your plan and get that up and running for you. You also get access to future Zoom sessions and face-to-face lessons if you want them, and a whole load of other features coming up on that side as well. If that seems like it would be of use to you and you'd like to work together, details of that in the description below. That's all via my Buy Me a Coffee support page. Thanks a million. Oh, got some shout-outs to do on that subject. Thanks a million for the coffees in the last couple of days to Antoine, Dave, Phil, and someones. Loads of people, it just like if you don't write your name, it just says someone bought you a coffee. So thanks to all the lovely someones. I hugely appreciate you supporting this channel and keeping it going in that way. And the new members, welcome in the last few days, Mark, two Marks, Lewis or Louis perhaps, Paul, Kenneth and Jeremy. Thanks a million, guys. I hugely appreciate the support. Had a lovely Zoom session with one of those Marks just right now, and amazing work, man. So nice to see you, and thanks a million for supporting in that way. And yeah, love it. If that's of interest to you, please follow that link. Thanks a million for watching as always. Any questions, give us a shout. See you soon.